minimize it completely right now for a while, see if that's the case. The thing about the cell phone, and particularly the iPod, it's interesting schools put on filters so that any kid can see anything in the bathroom with their cell phone, is that the entire body of knowledge of millions of servers sit inside of this phone, and to a child of today, this phone sits inside of me. So the days where we sat as the authoritative person of all knowledge in front of the classroom and divvied it out to the students is gone. So if we move ahead with this, let me get my cursor down here. I've changed everything. This authoritarian time is really gone. And so what we really need to do by Web 2.0, Web 3.0 is learn how to do this. So how do we compete with all of that? We have all this knowledge. What do we do with it? Let's start with some really basic things. It starts with a real need. And then, unless someone shares a solution, so learning is very community-based. This is the tribal piece to it, and that's where it seems to shine. Here is how learning changed completely. Before we were in the classroom, but what Web 2.0 does is it embraces the world. We move from getting information from the home, from the schools, organizations, to the world. Something really big happened, and let's take a look at kind of Maslow from a Web 2.0 point of view. From a home, we're dealing with media of terms of parenting and TV. There's relationship skills and culture. It's very interesting. My real love is to be in Africa and I work in Kenya and Zambia. And when I'm there, I'm amazed that the terrible temper tantrums that we have in the U.S. every single time you walk into a mall don't happen there. A child in the U.S., by the time they've graduated from 6th grade, has probably seen 100,000 acts of violence on TV and at least about 8,000 murders. That really changed your perception of things. In school, we're driven by foundational learning skills and values. The organization, of course, we're dealing with organizational culture and process, and all of this is a local learning context. The web changes things with 2 more layers. The web gives us internet collaboration, so all of a sudden we're connected to the rest of the world. And there's another aspect, filtering and publishing. In this last bar, we'll talk about Web 3.0 also. So I have a local learning context, and then I have a global learning context. For those of you in the K through 12 market, and there are a couple of people online that I know that are in teaching schools, this is what we have to deal with. We have to deal with teaching students how to use the internet to deal with these layers. There's one in the corporate level that the LMS and SCORM will work with, but there is another one in the global. They have to learn how to handle Web 2.0, the good, bad, and the ugly of it. And then they're also going to have to handle themselves, maintain their individuality by using context. And this is another thing we'll talk about. So before, when you were teaching facts or maybe values in the school, now we have to teach content, community, and context. And this is where Web 2.0 comes in. So you can see in the presentation now where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from just showing you the pieces, but why we're going to use the pieces. I am an advocate of filtering because filtering helps a teacher focus the classroom. And there are flexible filtering systems that won't block everything and allow you to do things. But context must be taught. A child today is hit by so much more stuff in so many different ways that is so simply wrong and confusing and junk science and everything going down the line. I'll give you a classic example how the world are doing, because I was born and raised as a marketing person. My mother taught, my brother taught, and I've also taught. This is Bud Light. Bud Light puts out a series of ads that are called in the marketing world porn creep. And what they do is, this is the swear jar where the office gets a case of Bud Light every single time they say a 4-letter word. It's actually an hysterically funny YouTube that gets 3 million views. Bud Light puts a series of these things out, And actually what these companies do is they put out commercials that they know will get banned from the Super Bowl, which automatically gives them millions of hits. And this is part of that creep, and we continually have to deal with that. I'll give you another example of it. This is kind of a fun shocker. Martin Luther King is, this would be, for those of you around India, it'd be like a Gandhi.org site. It looks innocent enough. When the students click on it, attention students, try our MLK pop quiz. There's rap lyrics. Seems lots of fun. We start drilling into it, why the King holiday should be repealed, and the rest of the site has to be filtered for the language in it. But this is a David Duke site. It's done by Stormfront, and it's white supremacist. So if I go back, before when I used to open up a textbook or the Encyclopedia Britannica model, is I didn't have to sit back and question every word that was in it. I knew it was filtered by teachers, and I rest assured on that comfort in the classroom and sending my parents into a classroom. Many teachers will not go into Web 2.0, or administrators are nervous about the Internet because of this kind of nonsense. Unfortunately, this is the world that these kids are going to have to deal with, and they need to be trained on how to do it. Here's a case where a filter can show you the concept without the kids being lost in it. Another case of this kind of interesting is cyberbullying. There's great YouTubes on cyberbullying, terrific ones. But when you lift up the cyberbullying frame, right next to it you will see the YouTube clips that teach you how to cyberbully and the websites that do that. Global knowledge forces us into a global responsibility. This is something that we can leverage in the classroom using in Web 2.0. What is different when we grew up with TV, I can remember watching Biafra, and we felt, you'd sit in the States and you felt helpless about what was happening on the other side of the world. Well, I have friends and teams down in Haiti and work with some people that handle the tsunami, and now it's different. Now if I see something from my cell phone, I can immediately send money, and that aggregates to billions of dollars. So Web 2.0 can move children within the classroom. It can move them from a feeling of helplessness, and you can move your curriculum into really solid significance. And if you go into the NINGS for Flat Classroom or Classroom 2.0, you will see many cases and YouTubes of classes that started a project in the United States and ended up changing up a whole school in Africa or somewhere in a developing world. And that significance is what will fire up your classroom and make it very make it fun, but also make them learn. And so a lot of us didn't ask for that, but that's what we have. We also have in the classroom, in the schools, an enormous amount of jealousy. There'll be teachers that are doing this, their classrooms are on fire, they're doing cool stuff, and you'll have a teacher next door that's going to retire that's just hunkering down and not doing it. Those of you not on the States, we have a big struggle with trying to get teachers to adopt Web 2.0. And there is, one of the factors is that within 6 to 7 years, we will have half of the teachers in the United States retiring. So this is a huge problem for us. We'll do a little bit of theory, just a little bit more theory, and then we'll go right into some practical methods. In working with some of the early papers in knowledge management and e-learning and how that gets structured out, and being a critic of SCORM, when SCORM was first being put together, I remember some of the first meetings that were done on it. SCORM is, for those of you who don't understand knowledge management, this is a page. All of the little things on this page, the text, the circles, those are called knowledge elements, and this is called a knowledge object, and this would be stored in a structure on a database in a server somewhere. Now, the knowledge object itself, the image of the dollar bill and the knowledge object, a dollar bill is a dollar bill. That's a rigid, static concept. The problem of SCORM in traditional e-learning is what